As the elevator doors slid open with a soft chime, Lena's pulse quickened, a drumbeat of anticipation that echoed the opulent heartbeat of the five-star hotel surrounding her. She stepped into the gilded corridor, the plush carpet absorbing the sharp click of her heels, every step drawing her closer to the suite where her best friend's brother waited, a man who had always been more of a mystery than she dared to admit. The tension in the air was a palpable force, charged with the gravity of unsaid words and unacknowledged desires. When she reached the door, it was ajar, an invitation that felt more like a dare. Inside, the room was dimly lit, shadows dancing across the walls in the flickering light of the city beyond. He stood at the window, silhouette outlined against the night, a figure poised between temptation and restraint. Lena, his voice was smooth, as intoxicating as the wine they had yet to share, carrying with it the promise of possibilities untold. The unspoken challenge in his gaze was undeniable, a siren's call to step beyond the threshold of friendship into a world where their shared past could ignite their uncertain future. What began as a subtle dance of glances and fleeting smiles had crescendoed into this moment, a confrontation as inevitable as it was exhilarating. She was here on the precipice of a decision that could change everything, and as the storm of emotion swirled, Lena knew one thing with crystalline clarity: by the end of this night, nothing would ever be the same again. Chapter 1: Reunion at the Elite. The grand gates of St. Augustine's Academy loomed ahead, a testament to both the passage of time and the memories sealed within its ivy-clad walls. Lena stepped out of the sleek rental car, her heels clicking against the cobblestones, each step echoing a mix of anticipation and trepidation. She paused, taking in the scene as alumni mingled on the manicured lawns, their laughter a melody of nostalgia and familiarity. The air was crisp, charged with the energy of reunions, and the quiet rustle of autumn leaves, painting the campus in hues of gold and amber. Lena adjusted her scarf, a small comfort against the brisk wind, and ventured into the throng of familiar but aged faces. Her heart skipped as she spotted Kate, her best friend, waving enthusiastically from across the courtyard. Kate was unchanged, her vibrant personality radiating warmth that drew people in. "Lena, you made it," she exclaimed, enveloping Lena in a tight embrace that spoke of years and unspoken stories. They pulled apart, eyes sparkling with the shared history of mischief and late-night confidences. "I wouldn't miss it for the world," Lena replied, her smile genuine, yet tinged with an undercurrent of unease. For somewhere amidst this sea of past acquaintances, there was one face she both yearned to see and dreaded encountering. As if summoned by her thoughts, Alex appeared beside Kate, his presence as commanding as she remembered. Time had been kind to him, his features were more defined, his demeanor carrying an air of quiet confidence. Lena's breath hitched, the world narrowing to the space between them. "Lena," Alex greeted, his voice smooth, yet laced with a complexity that hinted at what lay beneath the surface. Their eyes met, and in that moment, the bustling scene around them faded, leaving only the silent conversation of what once was and what might still be. The tension was a delicate thread, woven with past emotions and future uncertainties. Lena's mind flickered with memories, glances exchanged under moonlit skies, laughter shared in secret corners of the campus. Time had not dimmed the intensity of those moments, nor the unresolved feelings that fluttered like trapped butterflies in her chest. "It's been a while," Lena replied, her voice steady but her heart racing with the thrill of familiarity and the fear of what it all could mean. Kate, oblivious to the undercurrents, looped her arms through theirs, drawing them into the throng. "Come on, we have so much to catch up on." As they moved through the crowd, Lena felt the weight of Alex's gaze, a silent promise of conversations yet to come. The evening stretched ahead, filled with possibility and the comforting embrace of shared history. Yet, beneath the surface, lay the simmering tension of words left unsaid, emotions unacknowledged, and the undeniable pull of a connection neither could ignore. Lena knew that this reunion was more than a gathering of old friends. It was a crossroads, a chance to face the echoes of the past and the tantalizing whisper of what could be. As laughter and music mingled in the crisp night air, she realized that this was just the beginning of a journey that would lead her through the shadows of her past and into the uncertain light of what lay ahead. Chapter 2: In the Shadow of the Past. The evening at the reunion unfurled like a tapestry, embroidered with threads of laughter, whispered confessions, and eyes that spoke volumes when words failed. Lena drifted through the crowd, her gaze inevitably drawn to Alex, who moved with a graceful ease that belied the tension coiled beneath his calm exterior. It wasn't long before they found themselves standing side by side, the vibrant chaos of the reunion fading into a soft background hum as they slipped away to the opulence of the hotel bar. Nestled in a corner booth, the soft lighting cast a warm glow over their faces, lending an intimacy to the space that neither could ignore. As Lena stirred her drink absent-mindedly, the jingling of the delicate bracelet on her wrist caught Alex's attention. It was a simple piece, a slender band with a single charm, a gift from him during those heady days when their world was just them and the promise of forever. She had worn it every day since, a silent testament to the bond they had shared. "You still have it," Alex remarked, his voice a mixture of surprise and something deeper, something that echoed with the weight of unspoken emotions. Lena nodded, her fingers brushing the charm as if to reassure herself of its presence. "I never could bring myself to take it off," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper, the confession hanging between them like a fragile bridge to the past. Their conversation danced around the years that had separated them, each word a tentative step towards the heart of what lay unresolved. Lena's mind was a whirl of memories, stolen kisses beneath the oak trees that lined the campus, the way Alex's laughter had been a balm to her soul, and the arguments that had flared with the intensity of a summer storm, only to leave them both scorched and silent in its wake. "Do you ever think about those days?" she asked, her voice threading through the quiet tension. Alex leaned back, his eyes searching hers, as if seeking a truth he had long since buried. "Every single day," he replied, the honesty of his words a sudden, piercing clarity. The silence that followed was not empty. It was full of regrets of longing, and of the undeniable connection that had never truly faded. They were two souls caught in the gravity of their own history, each orbiting the other with a pull that was as irresistible as it was perilous. As they spoke, the world outside the bar seemed to hold its breath, the night air cool and still, as if aware of the significance of this moment. Lena realized that the path they walked was fraught with old wounds and new possibilities, a tightrope strung between what was and what could be. The bracelet glinted softly in the dim light, a silent promise that the past was never truly gone, and perhaps that it was time to face it not as a shadow of what had been, but as a guiding light towards what might yet be. With a mutual understanding that words alone could not define, Lena and Alex stayed in their corner of the world a little longer, each sip of their drinks a step back into a dance they had never really stopped. And as the night wore on, they found comfort in the knowledge that this was not the end of their story, but merely another chapter in a tale as old as time. Chapter 3. Games of the Heart. The annual charity gala at St. Augustine's Academy sprawled out like a whimsical chessboard, each guest a piece in an intricate game orchestrated by fate. The hall buzzed with anticipation, the air alive with the scent of blooming lilies and polished wood, a nostalgic melody that played softly at the edges of Lena's memory. The evening had drawn alumni from all walks of life back to their old stomping grounds, and Lena found herself partnered with Alex for the evening's main event, a scavenger hunt meant to rekindle spirits and forge new alliances. The irony was not lost on her. The universe seemed to be playing its own game, one where she and Alex were pawns moved by unseen hands. As they navigated through the maze of corridors adorned with sepia-toned photographs of past glories, Lena felt the familiar thrill of competition mixed with something far more potent. Her heart was a knight, leaping over obstacles, charging forward, yet ever mindful of the queen it sought to protect. "Remember the last time we did this?" Alex's voice cut through her reverie, his tone teasing yet layered with unspoken challenges. His eyes twinkled, a rook poised to strike, asserting both charm and a subtle dominance. "I remember you cheated," Lena quipped back, her smile mirroring his game face, a bishop's diagonal move, unexpected yet strategic. Their banter was a dance of wit and wordplay, each retort a calculated move in their private game of hearts. The scavenger hunt clues led them to nostalgic nooks of the academy, the old library with its dusty volumes, the music room where echoes of their laughter once harmonized with the piano's gentle notes. Each location was a move on their emotional chessboard, stirring dusty memories and reigniting dormant flames. As they reached the final clue, tucked behind a familiar oak tree on the school's lawn, Lena paused, her hand brushing the rough bark as she turned to face Alex. "What are we doing, Alex?" Her voice was soft, a pawn's tentative advance, testing the waters of what lay ahead. Alex hesitated, his gaze dropping to the ground before meeting hers again, sincerity weaving through his words. "Maybe we're trying to pick up where we left off, or maybe we're just playing the game." There was a vulnerability in his eyes now, a king momentarily exposed, and Lena felt the weight of her own decision looming like a checkmate. Could she rekindle old flames without getting burned? Or was this just a nostalgic dalliance, a move to test the boundaries of her heart? As they stood beneath the oak, the world seemed to pause, each leaf a silent spectator to their game. Lena knew that this evening, these moments, were more than just a playful contest of wills. They were a pivotal point, a chance to rewrite the rules and redefine the playing field. The evening air grew cooler, wrapping around them like a gentle reminder of the time slipping by. Yet within this fleeting moment, Lena found clarity, an understanding that the game was more than just a memory. It was a choice, a crossroads, and she was the one holding the next move. As the gala drew to a close, Lena and Alex lingered, the chessboard of their evening laid bare before them. The pieces were set, the strategies known, but the outcome remained untold, a mystery waiting to unfold in the chapters yet to come. Chapter 4. Unraveling Secrets. The library at St. Augustine's was a sanctuary at this hour, its towering shelves steeped in a comforting silence that invited contemplation. Lena found herself drawn here, as if the whispers of forgotten stories might reveal the truth she sought. A single lamp illuminated her corner, casting shadows that danced like specters of the past. Her fingers traced the spine of a worn-out book, but her thoughts were elsewhere, on Alex, and the pieces of his life that remained just out of reach. There was a mystery to him, a complexity that had always intrigued her, even now as they stood on the precipice of something new yet perilously familiar. Earlier that evening, she had stumbled upon a collection of letters tucked behind a stack of dusty tomes. Alex's handwriting was unmistakable, bold and confident, yet there was a vulnerability in the words that painted a different picture of the man she thought she knew. The letters spoke of a tumultuous past, a struggle with expectations, and the suffocating weight of familial legacy. They unveiled the motivations behind his guarded demeanor, revealing wounds that had never quite healed. As the understanding settled over her, Lena felt a profound empathy for Alex. His past was a mosaic of triumphs and scars, each piece contributing to the man he had become. The revelation deepened her connection to him, weaving a new thread into the complex tapestry of their relationship. But as the night whispered its final secrets, a misunderstanding loomed. A shadow threatening the fragile bond they were slowly mending. It started with a misplaced word, an assumption that spiraled into a heated argument. In the dim light of the library, their voices clashed, echoes of frustration and hurt bouncing off the walls. "You never told me any of this, Alex." Lena's voice cracked with emotion, her heart aching with the weight of unspoken truths. Alex stood opposite her, his expression a tumult of confliction. "I didn't know how, Lena. I didn't want you to think I was broken." His words struck deep, a painful reminder of the broken vase that lay forgotten in the corner of her apartment, a silent testament to their fragile relationship. It had shattered during a careless moment, and she had never managed to piece it back together. Now it seemed their connection was on the brink of a similar fate. The argument was fierce, each word a shard of glass, cutting deeper than either intended. Yet beneath the anger, there was a vulnerability, a shared fear of losing what they had only just begun to rebuild. Realization dawned on Lena like the first light of dawn, illuminating the path she had been blind to. "Alex, I don't care about your past. I care about you, all of you, the good and the bad." Her voice softened, a plea wrapped in sincerity. For a moment, silence reigned, the tension between them taut as a bowstring. Then, like a storm passing, Alex's demeanor shifted. The walls he had erected began to crumble, leaving him exposed, his defenses laid bare. "I've been so afraid to let anyone in, Lena, but with you, it's different. I want it to be different." His confession was raw, a thread of hope woven through his words. In that moment, the broken vase was no longer a symbol of their fragility, but of their resilience, the possibility of mending what had been damaged, of creating something stronger and more enduring from the shards. They stood amidst the books and the shadows, two souls laid bare against the backdrop of their shared history. Their hands found each other's, a silent promise of understanding and acceptance. It was in this intimate exchange that Lena realized the game they played was not one of chess, but of life, complex, unpredictable, but ultimately worth every risk. As they left the library, the tension between them eased, replaced by a burgeoning sense of hope. The night air was crisp, carrying with it the promise of new beginnings. Together they stepped out into the darkness, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, their hearts no longer pawns in a game, but partners in a dance of mutual discovery. Chapter 5. Crossroads of the Heart. The storm outside mirrored the tempest brewing within Lena's heart. Rain lashed against the grand windows of the five-star hotel, where she found herself once more, the venue for yet another alumni event. The air was thick with anticipation and unshed tears, as if the very building held its breath for the moment of truth that was about to unfold. Lena stood by the window, watching the rain trace erratic paths down the glass, much like her thoughts. Her reflection stared back at her, eyes full of questions and a heart torn between the comfort of the known and the allure of the unknown. She had spent the past few days in a whirlpool of introspection, weighing the life she had meticulously built against the tantalizing possibility of a future with Alex. The letters she had discovered in the library lingered in her mind, Alex's words imbued with a vulnerability that had pierced her defenses. He had laid bare a side of him she had never fully seen, a glimpse into the struggles and triumphs that had shaped him. It was a revelation that felt like destiny's nudge, urging her to reconsider the paths before her. As if on cue, Alex appeared in the doorway, his eyes meeting hers with an intensity that chased away the shadows of hesitation. He walked towards her, each step deliberate, closing the distance that was more than just physical. "Lena," he began, his voice a mixture of resolve and hope. "I know I've been difficult to read, like a book with too many missing pages, but I'm ready to change that." The sincerity in his eyes was undeniable, and Lena felt her heart skip a beat, a familiar dance that had always been theirs. As the storm raged outside, she knew this was their moment, their crossroads. "I've read your letters, Alex," she confessed, watching his expression shift from surprise to tentative understanding. "It told me more than any conversation ever could. I understand now why you've been so guarded." He nodded, a silent acknowledgement of the walls he had built around his heart. "I've always been afraid, Lena, afraid to let anyone see the cracks, the parts of me that don't shine as brightly, but I want to let you in. I want you to see all of me." Her heart swelled at his admission, a symphony of hope and fear playing within her. She reached out, her fingers brushing his, a simple touch that spoke volumes. "I'm here, Alex. I'm ready to be part of your story, if you'll let me." The storm outside intensified, thunder rumbling like a giant's heartbeat, as if the universe itself was urging them forward. Lena and Alex stood there, two souls at the brink of a new beginning, their vulnerabilities laid bare. In that charged silence, Alex took a deep breath, his gaze unwavering. "I love you, Lena. I've loved you for longer than I care to admit, and I want a future with you, whatever it takes." His confession was the key that unlocked something within her, a truth she had been afraid to face. She stepped closer, her heart no longer a pawn in a game of uncertainty, but a beacon of newfound courage. "I love you too, Alex," she whispered, her voice steady despite the storm. "Let's write our story together." As they embraced, the rain outside softened, the storm's fury giving way to a gentle patter, as if nature itself had found peace in their decision. They stood entwined, the world around them fading into a blur, leaving only the promise of what lay ahead. In the quiet aftermath, they knew this was the turning point. Together they would face the challenges of a shared future, their hearts no longer at a crossroads, but united in purpose and love. As the night wore on, they remained by the window, watching the storm pass, ready to step into the dawn of their new beginning. Chapter 6. Triumph of Love. The morning sun poured over St. Augustine's Academy like a golden promise, casting long shadows across the courtyard where Lena and Alex stood hand in hand. The crisp autumn air was invigorating, a perfect blend of nostalgia and the newness of a beginning, as if the world had been washed clean by the storm that raged the night before. Lena glanced at Alex, their fingers intertwined, each touch a silent affirmation of the choice she had made. Her heart, once a battlefield of indecision, now pulsed with a serene certainty. The past few days had been a crucible, reshaping her fears into the courage to embrace love once more. "Ready?" Alex asked, his voice a gentle caress against the hum of life around them. She nodded, the warmth of his gaze reflecting her own resolve. "More than ever," she replied, a smile playing on her lips, the kind that spoke of unspoken promises and shared dreams. They walked towards the grand entrance of the academy, the familiar path now a symbol of their shared journey. The school, with its ivy-clad walls and towering spires, had been the backdrop of their youth, a place that had witnessed their first encounters, their laughter and their tears. As they reached the entrance, Lena paused, her eyes drawn to the plaque that bore the academy's motto, Ad Astra per Aspera, to the stars through difficulties. It resonated deeply within her, echoing the trials they had faced and the triumph that was now theirs. Turning to Alex, she retrieved the bracelet from her pocket, the one he had gifted her years ago. The silver charm glinted in the sunlight, its significance transformed from a relic of the past to a beacon of their future. "I believe this belongs to you," Lena said, her voice steady and full of emotion. Alex took the bracelet, his fingers brushing hers in a lingering touch that sent a thrill through her. Instead of putting it away, he fastened it around her wrist, the metal cool against her skin yet burning with the promise it held. "It's always been yours," he murmured, his eyes deeply locked with hers. "A symbol of us, of everything we've overcome." The air around them seemed to shimmer with an unnamed magic, a reminder that love, true and unwavering, was the greatest triumph of all. Lena felt a lightness in her heart, the weight of past uncertainties melting away in the warmth of their connection. As they walked through the hallowed halls, past classrooms that held echoes of their younger selves, they were not just revisiting memories but crafting new ones. Every step was a declaration, a movement towards a future they would write together, hand in hand. They stopped by the vast oak tree that had stood sentinel on the grounds for decades. Its branches, a tangle of history and growth, mirrored their own journey, roots deep, reaching ever skyward. "Here's to new beginnings," Alex said, drawing her into his arms. Lena leaned into him, feeling the solid assurance of his presence. "And endless possibilities," she added, her voice a whisper against his chest. Together they stood beneath the ancient tree, the world around them a canvas waiting to be painted with their adventures. The academy, a witness to their past, now embraced their future. As the sun climbed higher, casting dappled shadows on the ground, Lena and Alex turned to face the world beyond the academy gates. Their hearts beat in unison, a symphony of love and hope, ready to step into the bright expanse of what lay ahead. In the quiet of that moment, they knew the truth.